Welcome to Revoicing the Future, a Women of NAMM podcast, presented by AKG. Just as one revoices a chord, Revoicing the Future creates a completely new perspective on the invaluable notes that make up the whole. It will uplift women's voices in the music products industry, which have earned their time to be the root of the chord. Once a month, you can catch productive and valuable conversations with women working in manufacturing, retail, the nonprofit sector, music education, touring, and overall women who inspire us. Together, we can help shape the future of our industry, one interval at a time. This podcast is co-produced and edited by Natalie Morrison, Stephanie Lamond, and Julia Olsen. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Revoicing the Future. I'm your host, Natalie Morrison, and hi, Steph.
Hi, I'm Steph, and I'm here too.
I'm Steph, and
Co-host, co-producer. I'm here too. Yeah, right. It's just, I'm your friend, Steph.
I love it. Can we talk about the fact that it's literally November?
I don't think October ever happened.
Seriously, I feel like it was September and then whatever this was, and then now it's November. And I'm like,
I know.
Oh.
It's a trip. It's such a trip. And with that, you have something to share. Timing-wise, calendar-wise.
I'm not freaking out or anything. We are so excited to announce, drumroll, do-do-do-do. We are thrilled to announce that we are going to be presenting live at the NAMM show, as always, of course, but this year at the Idea Center. Woo! We've graduated. But we're really excited about this session, and it's called The Future of Leadership, Next Generation Strategies and Insights. Myself, Stephanie, and Julia, we will be talking about how listening, preparation, and authentic storytelling can build trust, spark collaboration, and strengthen relationships in every aspect of your career journey. So we're really excited, just honored that we get to do this at the Idea Center stage as longtime NAMM attendees. This is kind of a big milestone for us. So we are excited. And I didn't say the date or the time. It's Thursday, January 21st at 3 p.m. in the Idea Center. So we can't wait to see you there.
Yes.
And now back to our regularly scheduled programming. Steph, who are we talking to today?
So today we are talking to Chandra Lynn. She is the CEO and strategic consultant of Glow Marketing and the founder of Glow Living, which is her certified coaching practice. And all of that brings us her new book, Root to Rise, which published a few months ago. Yeah, we just had such a lovely conversation with her getting into all of it. She just exemplifies so much, I feel like, the power of finding your place in music and like finding your strengths, adapting with the industry as it evolves. I feel like this is such a cool episode. So I can't wait for y'all to listen to it.
And she has had her hands in every basket in this industry too,
Totally.
Which is really incredible to learn about and just see how she's just channeled it all herself into just kind of building a career that's what she wants.
On her own terms. Yeah. That supports that vision that she has always had from the beginning. Yeah. Hopefully it inspires y'all.
And there's a quiz.
Oh my God, the quiz.
There's a quiz on her website.
I'm going to do the quiz right now.
Glow Living. All the information is in the description. We're about to go take the quiz. We want you to take the quiz and then tell us, send us a DM on what your answer is, because I'm very curious.
Yeah. This is, again, such a fun one and just a wise, wonderful one. So yeah, enjoy.
Anyway, we'll see you next time. Sit back, relax, and let the countdown to the NAMM show begin.
Oh my God.
Hi, Chandra. Welcome to Revoicing the Future. We're so excited to have you joining us.
It's great to be here.
I want to start by just first share that you have such a unique story throughout this industry, and we're really excited to dive into it. You span from working with some of the biggest brands to then building your own agency, then you go to coaching, and then now you're a published author, which is incredible. So we'd love to learn more about your journey in the industry. Tell us the beginning. When did a love of music and marketing enter your life?
It's a great question. Let's see. Well, I got an early start. I've always been interested in the music industry, just lots of friends and past boyfriends and whatnot. And what I really wanted to do was I wanted to be an entertainment lawyer, because back in my day, which was, a long time ago, we were still fighting for rights back then. That was kind of when it was really coming out that a lot of the bands in the 80s had been taken advantage of by their labels and their managers and stuff. And I was just really into this idea of fighting for musicians' rights. And so I actually thought I was going to be an entertainment lawyer. And I didn't actually focus on the law part first. I got an MBA in marketing first. And I was working in major market radio. And I have to say, by the time I finished my MBA, I just couldn't fathom another year of school. It was just like,
I'm so real.
I know. I was like, I'm already doing this, working downtown San Francisco and major market radio at KFOG radio. And I just was like, I'm so enthusiastic about my career and doing this. I can always go back to law school was my thing. I'm too young for it now. I got an MBA when I was 24 years old. So I was just excited to just be in my career. But music was a passion, and working in radio was great because that was a very different side of the industry, going in broadcasting and whatnot. And then from radio, I actually went into publishing, and I worked for guitar player, bass player, and keyboard magazines. Yeah, and then I went into concert promotion. So I worked for Bill Graham Presents, which is now Live Nation. I was their marketing and promotion manager. I promoted over 6,000 shows a year. And I was doing marketing for Shoreline Amphitheater, which is a huge amphitheater in the Bay Area, the Fillmore, which is a legendary venue in the San Francisco, the Warfield. I mean, those were my homes. Yeah. So I did that, and I went into ticketing. So I went to tickets.com, which was a major competitor at that time to Ticketmaster. And then went into MI, started working for Avid, and I handled artist relations and PR for Pro Tools. So anyway, lots and lots of music industry experience from totally different vantage points. And that just continued when I started taking on clients.
Yeah. Well, and so with that, how did you follow your gut to each next one, right? Like, I love that trajectory. And it's one of those that I feel like, as everything, you look back and you're like, oh, yes, of course, there was a through line, everything. Like, what do you think was the thing that was leading you to each next evolution of that?
I mean, some of it was, what was available in San Francisco.
Totally.
I had high expectations for the quality of company that I worked for. So, I mean, at that time, KFOG was the number one rock station. And then working in publishing, Guitar Player magazine was just, they were at their height. And I became also an electronic publishing manager. I had a lot of firsts with the internet. When I was working there, I launched Keyboard Magazine's website, Keyboard Online. It was the very first online website. It was kind of funny because I was working with the art director of the magazine, and they're used to using these huge files for the cover art. And I'm getting artwork from the art director, trying to figure out how to get it on dial-up, basically. It would take like 20 minutes to load what we were trying to do, these 3D graphics at the time. And it's just hilarious looking back on it. But then when I went to work for Bill Graham, I launched their first website as well, the Shoreline Amphitheater website. I was lucky enough to have the title sponsor be AMD Computer. So we were doing things at that time that nobody was doing. We were going out to the middle of the section of the seats and taking photos and putting it on a seat map and things that just were not done back in the day when the internet was first born. I'm proud of it, though. I'm really proud of it.
And following, I feel like it sounds like just so much of adaptability there, right? You're evolving with things as they go, and what a good vision for where they are going. And I was about to ask you too, like the music tech ecosystem, getting into Avid and stuff at that point and these others. But you talking about the websites and stuff, like that's music tech in and of itself too, the technological part of the music industry. That's been so cool to kind of have been so hands-on with that adoption as that became so much more part of it. So that's just wild. Yeah. But San Francisco being the epicenter, but yeah, whatever that brings up for you, that's so interesting to me.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, it really is because the internet at that time, people didn't understand the tools. In fact, I had a problem working for Bill Graham's team because they were so used to really old school marketing methods. And I remember going in for a job evaluation, and they were like, how many flyers have you passed out with your street team? And I'm like, let me tell you about this promotion that I did for Shoreline, where we got thousands of email addresses, and we now can do direct marketing, and we are running promotions that were like they've never seen. One of them was I was working with Pepsi and Mountain Dew, and we put their whole subscription of their season at Shoreline on the actual packaging of the Mountain Dew, what they called cubes. It was a cube insert for an enter to win. And we were using their helicopter to fly in the winners and all this stuff. I mean, I'm doing all this stuff to get them email addresses and really exciting promotions with their sponsors. And at that time, they wanted to know about flyering. They just didn't get it.
Like, that's nice, but
yeah, we ended up having a parting of ways. I just think I was too ahead of what they needed at that time. Now I know they value it. But I had dinner with a colleague who worked with me at that time. He was in promotions as well, and he went on to work for the Madison Square Garden. We had dinner in New York, and he was just like, I saw all of that you did, and they just didn't understand the value of it at that time, but you were just really ahead of the game. But I saw the value of having direct email addresses. I mean, it's so normal now, right, to market. Yeah. Everybody wants emails and does whatever they can to get them, but back in the day, they just didn't even understand the value. It's really, really interesting.
I think also what I find really fascinating about your journey is you literally had your hands in so many different baskets, and I feel like, in my opinion, that you positioned yourself really well to then be like, okay, I can go on my own and start my own business, because you had all of these experiences that you could pull from when you're going out and pitching yourself to other people.
It's really a good point. And it's a good point for any listeners who are out there worried about job interviewing and things like that. I mean, having actual work experience, even if you've volunteered to get it, I'll tell you a couple examples of how to do that. It helps you feel a lot more confident in your interview. It doesn't matter whether you got paid for those opportunities. It matters that you had that experience. And so when they ask about examples, you just have things you can pull from. My son is currently at UCLA, and he's in the music industry program. And he was able to do he's killing it. But he was able to volunteer to work in the gift lounge at the Emmys. And he was kind of hemming and hawing about it. Oh, it's free. I'm not, everybody else is getting paid but me or whatever. But I can't even tell you how many times since then he's been able to use the example of when I worked for the Emmys. I mean, you just have to be willing to do anything. And I think that's where I was at. I was commuting long distances to, hard commute into the city. I was getting my MBA after working all day. I picked Golden Gate University downtown San Francisco because it was walking distance from the radio station, and I could work a full day and then go to classes at night or run over for classes in the lunch period or whatever. And I was just making it work. So yeah, a lot of this is about willingness. It's resourcefulness and willingness. What are you willing to do for your career, and trying things and figuring out where, if you know you want to be in the music industry, you need to know the ecosystem. So you need to know these different vantage points. There's so many amazing opportunities in this system, but you need to see where your individual personality fits the best.
This ecosystem is going to be a theme as we go through this, but I would love to go into you starting and building Glow Marketing. So when did you realize that starting your own business and building that client list was the way to go?
I think it was after heartbreak. I was really heartbroken to leave Bill Graham. It was the perfect fit job for me. Promoting concerts was just such a perfect fit for what I wanted to do. Like I said, I just felt really held back in terms of what I was capable of. I just didn't want any boundaries. I just wanted to be able to do what I wanted to do. And, I'm really amiable, so I'm totally fine working for other people. And of course, I have a service business now, right? Helping other people. But at the same time, I like to innovate. And I really have to align myself with people that want innovation and welcome innovation. And if that's not happening, then it limits my growth. And so therefore, I have to move on. And having my own company allows me to do that. I have full control over who I want to work with, and I'm able to ideate for them. And I just learn their world. And I kind of have this first mode of understanding their world. Then I can use strategy. And I just pull from all my experiences to come up with the best strategy I can for them and see what sticks, see what resonates. And it's just exciting every time. I think I like the variety.
That's incredible. I can't wait to get into that more too with the coaching side. You're saying like building the world.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's building the worldview. That's all about. Anyway, but we stay here. So in the thought of that, we've been talking to a lot of folks lately that have like long longevities within companies about these long-term relationships. And for someone that has such long-term partnership clients as an independent contributor? What do you think is unique, and or is it pretty much what is shared, I guess, right? About those long-term relationships when you are technically not in-house, but you still have these really rewarding long-term partnerships and business relationships. So any reflections there on what's worked?
So here's the thing. It is all about relationships. People want to work with you because they like you, they value you. And when that happens, you get asked to come back for new opportunities. For example, I'm kind of known for doing these big events with PMC speakers, and they rely on me for that. And this year they're going bigger with their booth at NAMM. And I was their first call to say, hey, we need somebody to help us with our events because this is going to be even bigger and we need to be able to stay focused. And so we thought of you. And because of that, I don't have to really market myself anymore. Like, I don't advertise, it's all relationships, it's all word of mouth. And I guess that's a luxury now, but it's from doing relationship building. So I 100% believe that. And if people aren't sure how to do that, the best thing to do is not lead with what people can do for you, but lead with what you can offer to them. Ask them, how can I help you? Or what are your goals? I always tell people at NAMM, because I had a lot of experience with when I was doing artist relations for Avid and Pro Tools, I would basically have a line of people trying to pitch me for artist relations. And so it was very few and far between that somebody would come along and ask me about what I was looking for and what I needed, for our next campaign or what product launches were coming that they could support. That was a very different mindset than I have this band and we're doing this and we're doing that. And then we had this record and then we got this award. Like they'll want to give me everything. And then I produce this thing. And I quickly realized they're kind of a Jack or Jill of all trades. They do all this stuff and that's all great. And in my mind, I'm trying to figure out where they can connect in. But I need people that are also willing to help me meet my goals of the company. So I was looking for true partners, not just the artists that were well-known. I wanted people that had influence in their niches, but that were willing to do real marketing. There was lots of campaigns that we were working on that were really involved. And so, yeah, having partners, even famous partners who had the mindset of being willing to support and not be all about them was definitely good. So if you don't have all those relationships now, just offer your help, offer your services, offer what you can do to support them, lead with that. And you'd be surprised that even if they don't take you up on it, they're going to remember you're that type of person and think of you in kind for future opportunities.
My head's going to fall off. I'm nodding so hard. Well, it reminds me too of you mentoring your son too, right? Like that's that energy. And of course we have to have the boundary at a certain point of like, now I must be paid for things. But that is how one gets their foot in this is also being like, yeah, I'm here. I'm willing to do it. How do I help? And being willing to roll your sleeves up and kind of get into it, but also not missing that that's how you find what you're supposed to do and you find the right relationships and stuff. So it is all such an ecosystem, as we were saying. But yeah, the part of it that feeds itself is really beautiful. And I like the relationship aspect to that.
Yeah, I'm definitely an advocate for getting paid what you're worth. So once you've paid your dues of, helping out where you can, and, there's boundaries around that, what you're willing to do for free, how much time and all that, but then actually asserting what your value is. So,
yes.
My son was offered back by that same group to work for the Latin Grammys. And he said, I'm happy to do it. And my hourly is X. And, he just put it out there. I think that that's the thing. In this industry, you do have to prove yourself a bit. And then once you do, though, you're in and people will grow to rely on you and recommend you. And that is a big relationship building skill to have to maintain those relationships. And the funniest thing is that I still sometimes volunteer or help people for free because it's not so much about the money, it's about the relationships. Like when my friend was opening up the restaurant for this AES party, I had just recently had an AES after party and I hosted it in his new restaurant, the Majestic in San Pedro. And part of the reason I did that was because he used to work for Interscope Records. And when I was at Avid, we were doing huge artist promotions together. He was bringing some of the biggest artists in the world to the table. We did a Peter Gabriel promotion. We did a Sting promotion, a 9 Inch Nails promotion, a Black Eyed Peas promotion. I mean, we were doing it all. And I don't forget, I know that he was there for me and making me successful in what I was trying to do back then. And now he's opening up a restaurant, doing something totally different. And I'm showing up for him, bringing the people there. So you just learn who your allies are and you do what you have to do to support no matter what they decide to do, even if they do something as crazy as write a book.
I love it though. Well, and for a final thought too, before we move on from the marketing part of it. So It's been a cool part of it too, being able to be independent, that you've been able to also not work in the music industry for some of these partnerships and projects. It's probably helpful to leave that world for a minute too and see what's still going on outside of music, right? And like bring stuff back. And your reflections on that kind of variance and also diversification, right? It's probably just good for a freelancer to be able to get outside of that. Any reflections on that, dipping your toe outside of it for a moment as well as it comes?
Definitely. I mean, so some of my clients have been Apple Computer, Mercedes, Tyra Banks, the Wine Group. I mean, I have some of the biggest brands in the world. And to be honest, their programs are great and they pay more. And there's times when I thought I need to let go of the music industry because it's just not as financially viable as these other things. But because of these relationships, I keep getting pulled back in.
You can't go.
No, I cannot leave. I think I'm just a lifer now, but like, NAM will call and want me to do a Tech Tracks or a NAM U thing, or like a client will call and need something. And so I just decided the projects that I'm going to work on are going to be, the cool kid stuff. And that makes it fun. But it's really the variety. I think having real world experience in the music industry and out of the music industry, it allows me to just be a better marketing strategist. I think also I do a lot of things around partnerships. Partnerships are really big in the music industry. So you may even be a tech person, but you might want to pair up with a consumer brand or an artist that is known outside the industry, because it just widens the whole playing field. Nowadays, I focus a lot on brand and brand alignments and doing cross promotions. And so it doesn't have to just be like insular within the music MI space. We could take our secret sauce and lend cool factor to other brands as well, because other consumer brands want to be associated with the music industry. So that's a little niche in itself.
Love it. I really admire and appreciate your outlook on the whole picture and where it funnels and fits into what you're doing and how to make it better. I think it's really neat. And then as you're speaking, I hear the coach in you. So see what I did there? When did the inspiration for coaching come to you, and how did you begin on that path with everything that you're doing in the marketing space?
It really started before I was born, because my grandparents are both psychologists, or they were. And I was just raised with it, with personal growth and development as a value system. So when you went to our family bookshelf, there was Ram Dass, Be Here Now, or the Handbook to Higher Consciousness. I'm a California girl, born and raised through and through. And so I just was raised with it. And I think that being in the music industry gave me a lot of insight into people living in the extremes. I think working with the touring artists specifically, I could see how they can easily get uprooted, get off balance with all the areas of their life. That it's very difficult, especially on the road, to manage their health, their relationships, their career pivots, friends at home, family. It's just the whole thing. It's just very, very hard. And so I kind of fell into the coaching role a number of times just before I even got certified, supporting everyone. And I saw enough going on where I'm like, if they can do it, anybody can. I think they're really inspirational. So in 2011, I kind of threw myself back to school. It was also part of my need for growth and need for being a lifelong learner. I thought this is an area that I need to develop inside myself. And so I didn't really think that I was going to be a professional coach offering services while I was in the program. I was really doing it for personal growth reasons and to try to improve my own relationship and everything. And then when I got certified in 2014, I started to see a lot of my brain can work in frameworks. I started to see, for example, being on a yoga mat was like a microcosm for life, and being in the tree pose was like this metaphor for rooting down and to create a stable foundation in order to rise to your fullest potential. And I just started layering on everything I was doing in the music industry, everything I was doing in coaching, and everything I was doing in yoga to build a framework that I turned into an online course. I figured, it'll just sell, when I'm working on my other stuff. And people were saying, well, hey, could you do like a workshop? And people were hosting me for workshops. And then the pandemic hit, and I decided to just basically create my deepest offering of Root to Rise, which is the name of the course, into a book format. And I'm actually currently working on a companion workbook. But Root to Rise was born. And NAM specifically has been very supportive of me showing up not just as the marketing and PR chick, but as a personal growth and development coach. And in fact, I have to give a shout out to both Zach Phillips and to David Schwartz, who have booked me and said, do your thing, girl. And so I've been able to do interviews of artists where we talk about their lives. I've been able to do all kinds of stuff on the NAMM stage. And I realized that although they're two different worlds, I'm working on still, but able to create a bridge between the two, because people are people and we all need support. And so whether it's a career pivot or having a hard time balancing your life, I got you, and this book is there to support. And there are examples of people I've coached. In fact, a couple famous people that I can't mention, but their cases are in the book that talk about their coaching journeys and how they were able to do some things that help them balance their lives that I think will be very inspirational for people. I see that although that they're different, for me, they're completely interconnected.
Yeah. It's resonating so much with my own journey, right? Like part of finding our own place in music sometimes is as the one in the corner being like, okay, let's get into it. Are you okay? Like, how is that? Right. But that's not something that was a normal thing or was something you could be paid for, right? That was just like the tour manager's emotional labor they didn't know they were going to need to do until they got deep into it, right? So I love it. Yeah. So, you already took us there so much, but just what you haven't yet, tell us about now the book in its form and just your vision for it, right? Like how you hope it will touch lives, and it already is. So the experience of putting something out like that and seeing that grow and the vision for now that it's there.
There's so much to talk about. One thing I will tell you is how much empathy I have grown for DIY musicians, because I really feel like the journeys are so similar to being an indie self-published author. I've seen so many parallels. It's like living the experience is already a thing, right? And then writing and innovating, like being a creator is a thing. So like I had to live my journey and get certified and have my own personal experiences in life to be able to have something of value to write about. But then I had to put it in a form. I had to write it. I had to format it, all of that. And then I was a little discouraged at first to hear that traditional publishers these days want you to have the following of an influencer. Nobody would talk to me unless I had 250,000 followers, because they don't want to do the work. They want to know that you have an engaged audience who's ready to buy your book, and that just by putting it on sale that it's going to sell. And that wasn't the case for me, because my journey was in support of artists and I wasn't one myself. And so I kind of went the hard route and said, I'm just going to put this out myself. And I realized how much it's like an artist who is putting out their own music. And because I swam in those circles, I knew how much work it was going to take. But, at least I thought I did until I got into it. And then I was like, oh my God, you just have to do absolutely everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm learning now this really underlying life lesson about what you're willing to do to invest in yourself. And one of the themes that I talked about at NAMM last year was that a lot of producers and engineers were having a hard time with having imposter syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
They were really struggling with imposter syndrome. And I didn't struggle with that as much, but I definitely had moments when I was having to take on the new identity as an author and going, whoa, it felt weird at first,
Mm-hmm.
But I think the way that I've resolved it is that we're all multifaceted diamonds, and we have to choose what aspects of ourselves to put in the sun. Sometimes you're going to be a singer, sometimes you're going to be a writer, sometimes you're going to be a producer, sometimes you're going to be an engineer, sometimes all of these things, but we are all of it. And it's just a matter of going, okay, it doesn't mean I'm not a marketing person anymore. It doesn't mean because I'm an author, or being an author doesn't mean I'm not a mom anymore. Or being a mom doesn't mean I'm not a lover anymore. We are all of those things. And so I've really had to learn that it's not so much about imposter syndrome as much as it is about standing in your truth and saying, well, I am all of it, and this is what I'm focusing on right now. And with that said, learning how to do pretty basic branding of getting that very clear messaging across to people that you're talking to about what it is that you want them to know about you. So, when people would come up to me and say, oh, I'm an artist, producer, engineer, I'd say, what do you want me to leave with, though? If somebody were to walk up to me after meeting you, we're at NAMM, whatever, walking around, and somebody said, oh, who was that? I need to be able to say that was an aspiring producer. You just, unfortunately, we need some labels sometimes to be able to understand each other. And so I know that you're all those things. I know that you're amazing in so many different ways. But when you're out networking, to focus on those very specific things you want people to learn about you. Today, we're talking about it all. We're talking about my start with being a young marketing professional and then going into my own business and all of that. And now being a coach and author, and people are like, whoa, what do I want people to learn about me? I mean, I would just want people to learn that I am here to support our community. I don't really care if it's marketing or coaching. It's literally like, what do you need right now to be successful and to realize your truest potential?
I was thinking that when you're talking about your first love was entertainment law, like there's such a through line of advocacy and just like helping people thrive in their work across all of it.
I realized I could do that without going to law school because at that time, well, it's funny because I guess I had a limiting belief when I was younger. One limiting belief was that I was too young to be a therapist, like my grandparents. Because, at 24, I had a master's degree. So I'm like, are people going to take me seriously as a therapist? And then I had that again with law. Like, oh, are they going to take me seriously as their lawyer? Fresh-faced 20-year-old. And with marketing, I just never had that. It's like, I guess it was more expected as a young woman at the time, like, oh, you're in marketing, you're in PR or whatever. I knew I was more than that, but at the same time, the creativity and the relationship building aspects of marketing did fit my personality. So I just went full in.
I love that. With the DIY of publishing a book, speaking of influencers, she lives rent-free in my head, I swear. I always mention her in this podcast, but she wrote a book about her journey from moving from the West Coast to the East Coast all by herself and road tripping across America and kind of figuring out who she was. And she wrote this book and she was pitching herself to publishers and she felt that she was going to lose control of her own story. So she decided to publish it on Substack, releasing a chapter at a time, as if it was like a TV show, like what's going to come next, what's going to come next. And then after she published it on Substack, she re-edited it and then published it through Amazon. And now she has it in bookstores. I just was imagining her as you were sharing your version of such a parallel of doing
What's her
it
name?
yourself. Her name's Anna Vitoni.
Go Anna. Yeah, I mean, I have a Substack as well, and there I do provide some coaching insights and stuff, and then some promotional, vehicle as well. But I'm still getting a handle on Substack as a vehicle. But yeah, I'm excited about doing it. And there were people that are like, you don't have to wait and publish your whole book. You could just do small bits and then put it together. But mine is actually a framework, so it did need to be done from soup to nuts. I could embellish on it and, write articles around it and stuff like that. But I had to go into the actual framework of the book. So there's 3 phases in the book. The first phase is balancing your life roots, which the 5 major areas of your life: health, career, relationships, family, and friends, and learning about how your human needs are being served in each of those areas to figure out whether you're empowering yourself and meeting your needs in healthy ways or whether you're meeting your needs in low quality ways that are keeping you stuck. And then there's a section about just how to clear those obstacles to get unstuck. And then the second phase is resilience, which is about building emotional resilience to weathering the storms of life, whether it's loss or job change or relationship changes or whatever you might be going through, especially things that are coming at you from the outside world, and how to be able to stay rooted and to stay balanced. And then the third phase is the rise phase, which is the fun part. It's like, what do you want to be when you grow up? It's what impact do you want to make on the world, and what ultimately do you want your legacy to be when you leave behind? And so sometimes people look at the cover of the book and they're like, well, that's really beautiful. There's fruit on the book. They don't understand it. But it's really a metaphor. Everything I do has symbology and, is metaphor for something. Mm-hmm. And the fruit is the fruit of our labor, right? Where if you're really doing the personal growth work, then you have something of value, your hard-won wisdom, your life experience, and that is that fruit that you can offer back out into the world. And that is what you'll be known for, is when you're getting beyond your own personal needs and into contributing beyond yourself. And that's where the legacy piece resides. So when people do get through the whole book, then they've been able to deal with the foundational issues that might have kept their growth limited and be able to ultimately transcend some of those basic needs, security needs and stuff, to get to a place of giving back. And that's what I always encourage, because I truly believe that when we're giving to others, and whether it's a piece of music or life advice or, whatever it might be, a book or whatever you're doing, it gives you a purpose, and having that purpose gives you a feeling of progress. You're progressing, and that brings joy. And I think that's really the key to fulfillment. It's feeling some progress towards something that is meaningful to you. And so learning what that is for yourself and why you want that and what you're willing to do about it is key.
So I have to say, I'm in the middle of your book, and I started it right before I went on a yoga retreat. And then I read it as I was on this yoga retreat, and now I'm still slowly working my way through, which I thought was very powerful. I did not plan it that way, but it just felt
divine timing.
It was just divine timing of how they all work together. And I really love how you structure the book as the ecosystem of a person and everything that makes them and us who we are. So why, in your opinion, is looking at life through this lens so important, especially as someone who might feel like they are in a crossroads, or they're trying to kind of refigure out what they want to do with their life and how they want to make the most of their life?
I think it's because life is hard, in my opinion, and we can all feel very overwhelmed at times because we're getting a lot of information in through social media, through the news, through, it's sometimes hard to connect into what we want. And I think that this provides a framework for people to check in with themselves and connect in on a deeper level, maybe than they've ever done before. It gives them a roadmap, an actual way to approach it when it feels very overwhelming. By saying there's 5 roots of life, I mean, let's be real, there's a lot more subroots. When you think about the actual root system of a plant, there's a lot down there, right? It's not just 5 little roots coming off of a plant. There's a lot going on. But these are the main areas that you can evaluate. And I think that having a framework that helps you to even approach it. I can't tell you how many people I've heard is I don't know what to do from here. I'm just so overwhelmed. I don't even know where to begin. And I think that that's a big part of it, is whether it's ecosystem of the music industry or the ecosystem of ourselves, it's really about having that holistic view, is so that you've kind of left no stone unturned. You really do understand yourself at the end of the day, and you can evaluate it in a way that's really based on human needs psychology. That's what the book is really based on, how we're meeting our needs and getting in touch with what we really want. And sometimes it's easy to say what we want, sometimes it's really hard. And I talk about this a lot, these 3 key life questions. What is it that you want? Okay, if you can answer that, it may take a little digging to be real about it. Why do you want that? Sometimes we think we want something I want to put out a record. Well, why? Let's be honest with ourselves. Is it for ego reasons? Is it because you feel like the content is really going to help people? Is it there's so many whys in there to uncover. So once you have that, then where people really get stuck is then what are you willing to do about it? Because what happens with willingness is that we might want something and we might know why we want it, but we may or may not be willing to do everything it takes to get there. And I think sometimes the really successful people have been willing to do everything, and they're fearless, and that's hard to do. Sometimes what you want is easier to get than others, but the willingness piece is an internal decision to go after your hopes and dreams and your goals. And if you're not willing, then there's a deeper dive that has to happen there about if you know you want it and why would you stand in your own way? So there's things that you can get unblocked from in the book that are very common. Things like perfectionism or procrastination or disorganization. There's solutions to this stuff if you get resourceful. So I'm trying to offer this book as a resource for all of that.
It's amazing. I feel like you keep stopping talking and it's just they're all mic drops. It's so much wisdom. You're so wonderful.
Thank you. you.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you. Well, it started as just the roots, balancing your roots with your human needs. That was enough for a lot of people. And that's kind of a workshop in itself.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
The book kept growing. It was roots and then rise. And I could not ignore the core part. Like, say, if you think about your roots coming off your feet, that's the lower part of your body. And then there is this midsection, your actual core. And I couldn't ignore that as being its whole own thing. And so I have coaching tools called like the emotional triad and different things about building emotional resilience, because we can't expect ourselves to rise without that solid foundation and a stable core. So that became 3 parts. I was actually shocked that the book came out, what is it, like 343 pages? I thought it was going to be like the Odyssey or something. Like I was tempted in like having it be multiple books, but I'm really proud of myself for getting it into one book. It's
incredible.
And I am willing to get feedback from those reading it about whether it's too much, but I'm hoping that people will just rise to reach it. And yeah, it's better to lift people up to it than to dumb it down.
That's great. Respecting your audience, right?
I believe in people. I believe in you. You could do it if you want it, if you're willing. That willingness thing again.
I know. I love that.
Did you have a moment through the process? Because I know this has been years in the making, essentially, and it's been a labor of love. Was there like an aha moment that just kept you moving forward, that you knew that you had something there and that you were on the right path with publishing this yourself and finishing the process and all of that?
Comes back to willingness again, too.
Willingness, exactly. There were some stop and starts, I have to be honest. I knew what I had because of the feedback I was getting from people. And there were people trying to credit me for huge major life improvements. And I was saying, no, you showed up, you were willing to do it, and you did it. It's all you. I just gave you a framework, But knowing that framework worked for people was really what gave me kind of the wind beneath my wings to do it. And then the final straw, when I was kind of backburnering it for all kinds of reasons, busy reasons, and I've got this client that needs me or that stuff going on first. It was like this thing that was always on the back burner. I just kind of put it on the front burner for a little while and then shove it to the back again. But what really happened was a little over a year ago, my best friend of literally 40 years died by suicide. And it just kicked me in the ass because I had to think about the fact that, whoa, could I have done more? If the book was out and she read it, would it have helped change her life? Like, I don't know. And not saying that this book is going to save people's lives, but it can definitely put you in the right direction in your life. And so I decided it's partially in her honor and her legacy because she always believed in me. Every single thing I did, she believed in me. And so it was like, I'm going to do this because I know that she not only would have benefited from it herself, but like she would have encouraged it and wanted me to help other people. So her name's Jeannie, and I love her so much. And I guess it was the grief and I don't know, it just cracked me open to saying, what the fuck? Why not? Like, I'm just going to do this. Like, it gave me a higher purpose because I had nothing to lose. I had only something to gain. If it helps one person, I've done my job.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
It's hard not to get emotional about it because it's such a big deal and it's still somewhat fresh, but I have to thank her for that in a way because it's like I put the gas on the project. Like I literally didn't care anymore about what literary agents were saying or publishers were saying. It was just like, I'm just going to do this. I'm going to put it out myself. And we're really lucky to have the tools that we have now for publishing in the music industry and in the literary industry. Yeah. It levels the playing field and makes it hard for everybody to have to do it themselves. However, it does give everybody an opportunity to shine. So I just encourage everybody, if you have something in your heart, put it out. And if it's good quality, it will succeed. And now I'm facing just how much I'm going to invest in myself to get the exposure on it. So it's doing these podcasts, it's advertising, it's just doing whatever I can to give it the most chance. I think that anybody that's put out a record will be able to understand that. You want to do everything you can to give it a chance. So that's my mindset. And like music, it's evergreen, right? It's not going anywhere. It's a marathon, not a sprint. So maybe we'll talk again next year and I'll still be talking about Root to Rise. I don't know.
Hey, hopefully. No, for sure. Well, and such a beautiful turning toward when we're grieving. It's so important to feel that you, especially when someone loses someone by suicide, like that you are able to do something and to connect in some way with either their memory or just that like there's an instinct to connect and to turn toward in some way. And I think it's just a beautiful example of turning that grief into, it was already a thing, but channeling that so strongly and not keeping that stagnant, like letting that be something that drove you. It's so powerful to channel that.
Thank you. Yeah, I think the chapter in here about it's called Transmuting Pain into Purpose. And that's really what happened. I always knew that I wanted to do it. And I started feeling like I had to get it out as soon as possible because who knows who needs it now? That's kind of my mindset was like, I can't mess with, a word here, or I want to rewrite that paragraph there. It's just like, I have to get it out the door. It's kind of like an artist in the studio who just wants to keep working on the, keep going. Let's add some more plugins. But yeah, so it was kind of, hey, you know what, you guys, I invite you to give me typos that are in the book. I'm sure there's probably some. One of my typos was I spelled Sanskrit without the second S. It was like, wow, now I have to go through republish because I just wanted to get it done. And I'm like, I can always improve it later. But that's the beauty of Amazon. I can put up a new version. I'm going to put up a new version soon.
Yep. And good is good enough when we're creating something like that. Oh my gosh. You got to let it go at a certain point.
Right. And I've definitely seen artists who can overprocess. So I had to know not to overprocess. Stay a little raw. Stay a little raw. Vulnerable, real. That's what this book is about. I mean, what I have been told is that I have a very encouraging tone, like a friend is along the journey with you. That was one of the biggest compliments I got because that's what I'm trying to do is just be there with people as they explore their inner landscapes around this stuff. If it's just an encouragement, somewhere to go for encouragement, some people don't have supportive family or like the best friends for that. And to know that they can turn to a resource, even somebody they don't even really know and get that, I mean, that can be life-saving because people need to know that they're supported and there's other people that care. I wouldn't put this out if I didn't care about people and people I don't even know. We're a fabric of society. And one of my philosophies is that if we all tend to the thread of the tapestry, like if we are each a thread and we all do a good job being healthy and a strong thread, then that tapestry is just going to be so much stronger and so much more beautiful.
Oh my God. Jenna Day said the same thing in the industry about the tapestry that we weave. And I'm like, I love that analogy so much.
You guys watch The Wheel of Time on TV? The intro has a bit of that fabric weaving thing. And I was really validated seeing that. I'm like, oh yeah. I mean, it's just another metaphor, right, for how we live our life. And I actually owe a lot of my metaphors to a really dear friend, Kristen Desange, who originally introduced me to Root to Rise as a yoga philosophy. And so, yeah, she was one of my biggest inspirations early on in building an actual framework for it, because she was the one that believed in the yoga mat as the microcosm for life. Like how we are with ourselves on that mat is how we are when we're stressed in life. So it's a good learning.
Where can people find your book?
And or work with you as a coach? All of it. How do people find you?
Definitely. Yes. Well, everything is glow related. So I had glow before J-Lo and her perfume. No, I started Glow a long time ago, but Glow Marketing is my marketing agency. So glowmarketing.com. And then for the book, it's glowliving.com is where I have all the coaching tools and everything. There's a free quiz on there that they can take to learn the hidden forces driving their key life decisions. And it ties into the book. Yeah, it's really about the human needs psychology and which of our needs is in the driver's seat.
Oh my God, I'm taking this.
Yeah, it's a free quiz. So I would take it on glowliving.com. And then the book is on there and it refers you to either Amazon or I personally like people to go to glowliving.etsy.com because Etsy allows me to give you a discount code, which is RISE25, RISE 25 for 25% off. It allows me to personalize the book so I can sign it to you or to a friend. And I have these beautiful packaging that I put it in and I write a card and I put in a bookmark and everything. I can't do that on Amazon. And although I love reviews on Amazon, I do encourage people to buy on Etsy. And like other DIY artists, there's certain platforms that just generate more revenue than others. And Etsy is better for supporting the indie author. So glowliving.etsy.com and use RISE25 and
I'll
take
put
the
it
quiz.
in the description.
Yeah.
I know. I'm going to take the quiz. Everyone tell us what their answers are.
That is really fun. So actually, one of the industry law firms that's really well known at NAM is called Rafter Marsh. And they recently hired me to do a workshop. They bought the book for all their employees and they brought me in to do a workshop. And everybody took the quiz first and they came in when we started to talk about it because their driving need is really good for everybody to understand, because if you know somebody else's driving need, then you can communicate with them in, their love language, basically. And so every single one of them agreed with their answer. And this quiz is only 9 questions. I don't even know how I did it. It was like I was so inspired that day, and I got some help by Lauren Bradley, who worked for me at that time. And we put this cool quiz together that seems to be delivering. I'd be really curious to know whether you guys agree with your results.
Yeah, I'm going to do it.
I feel like we need a whole part 2 with you. We love to always end with a little bit of, as we talk about the many facets of ourselves. Who's Chandra outside of all the work stuff too, right? You hinted yoga a little bit. What makes you glow? But just who are you when you sign off from this? What brings you joy and what do you love?
Well, I always love getting in nature. I like to go on nature hikes, and I have a boyfriend, I have a son. They bring me a lot of joy. Oh my God, you guys, he just invited me to go to this work thing. It's called a realtor prom. And I have never been to, that's one thing people don't know about me. I've never been to a prom or a dance. Like, I was the cool kid at school that was like, I didn't go to any of that. Anyway, so this is going to be the first time that I'm going to go to a prom. It's going to be hilarious. But I just do all kinds of fun stuff like that. I love spending time with my friends, and I have 2 cats. So I'm a cat lady. For sure.
Well, Chandra, just thank you so much. You've just been such a joy, and I've really enjoyed the book, and I'm excited for other people to dive into this and go on this journey. And I'm just so grateful that we've been connected, and I thank you.
Not more grateful than me. I mean, just having this time to focus on what I've accomplished in my career and my book, it really means a lot to me because I'm 55 now and I'm taking stock in what I've accomplished and what I want to do next. I'm a little bit in a pivot mode with the book and stuff. So your support means the world. Having support from my home industry to grow is huge. It's huge. So thank you so much.
It's our honor. Oh my gosh. Well, can't wait to see you in person at NAM. It's going to be so fun.
We'll have fun.
All right, thanks.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Revoicing the Future. You can subscribe to the podcast on all major streaming platforms or visit our website. Be sure to follow us on social media to stay up to date on all things Women of NAM. This episode was co-produced and edited by Natalie Morrison, Stephanie Lamond, and Julia Olsen. Together, we can help shape the future of our industry, one interval at a time. See you next time.